team. It's my quarterback.
Ziku.
Prescott in trouble. Everybody got set. Lee. Sean Lee. Extra men on the rush. Lewis gets home. With basically the division on the line. Return uncertain as to when. 14-yard line. The I formation. Elliott got off the field. Prescott wide open. Touchdown. Plays out Charlotte. Elliott. How about them Cowboys? Yeah!
Hey, what's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in this week for Bluff City Cowboys. This is Marcus. I hope you guys like the intro I just put up. I'm sure you guys, with the whole pandemic, you got a lot of free time like I do. So I've just been playing around with different software and things like that, just trying to figure out how to put together these graphics on my own, trying to put together these videos. So I hope you guys like the stuff that I'm putting together. Tonight, I wanted to come on because in all these pages, I've been seeing a lot of misinformation. People talking about contracts, who signed for what, how much so-and-so is getting paid, and what they hear from the national sports experts. So I just wanted to put some information out there that I use to figure out all of the best content and all of the accurate Cowboy information. So let's go. First thing I want to talk about was just contracts. Everybody always says, well, we can cut this guy to save this money, or this guy's eating this much of the cap, and they don't really have the information on where to go to find it. So I want to share with you guys what I like to use when I look up information like that. And I like to use a site called SpotRack. So basically, SpotRack is completely free, and you can go on there. It lists all the teams, it lists all the players. It gives you a ton of information. So I'm going to just play around a little bit with the site and show you guys some of the stuff that I like to look at. Okay, first, as you can see, all the teams are listed, and you can just go through here and find Dallas. As you can see in the far right, you see they list all the trending players. I'm shocked Dak is not number one, but I'm pretty sure he will be sometime soon. So I just like to go straight to the boys. So as you can see, as soon as you go to the page, and thank you, Star Gang, for joining in. I appreciate the support. First thing I want to go to is the right-hand side. Everybody always talks about, well, we don't have enough money to do this, or we have this much money. This site isn't 100% accurate, but this number right here is pretty close to the cap space that we have available. So right now we're working with about 5.7 million. I'm sure, as you guys know, once we get that June 1 cut with Travis Frederick, that number will spike even more. So I also want to just go kind of through just the cap in general and all the contracts. As you can see, we got Dak right here with this signing with his franchise tag, 31 million. When he does sign his contract, that number will go down. So that's going to make this number get even bigger. It's coming, guys. Just don't worry about it. They're not going to let a player like that just slip away, and they won't rescind the franchise tag. Next thing I want to talk about. When people say you can cut this guy to save this money, that's not always necessarily the case. So I just want to point this one thing out. If you guys can see this area that's shaded, that's the actual amount of cap that player is taking up. So saying, oh, he's taking up $14 million a year. No, that's not it. If you look right here, he's only taking up 10.9 million of the cap for this year. Contracts are not just straight line. Contracts have a lot of different things that go into place where numbers can be lower or higher in any given year. And in the case of Zeke, you'll see he's only at 10.9. Now, if you want to find somebody who can be cut, this is what you have to look at. This shaded number is the actual cap hit. The number next to it is the dead cap that you will take on if you cut that player. So if the shaded number is larger than the dead cap number, that's a guy you can cut and actually save money this year. So just looking at the top guys, you see D-Law signed his contract last year, so his dead cap is going to be through the roof. So there's no way you can get rid of him right now. Same thing with Zach. His dead is a little bit higher than his cap. You look at Tyrone Smith. If the team ever felt like this is the time to cut him, this would be the time to save that money. You save about $8 million. I wouldn't suggest you cut him, but if the team needed to save money, this is the type of player you would go to. And then you come down here, everybody's favorite scapegoat, Tyrone Crawford. His cap hit this year is $9.1 million. His dead cap is only $1 million. So if you cut him, that's putting $8 million in your pocket. Just going through some of the top paid guys, you see the numbers drop off pretty quickly. That's another misconception I want to cover. Everybody always talks about how when you look at the team, we got all these guys taking up all this money. And that's not true. If you look at the cap hits, you only have 6 guys with a cap hit more than $10 million. But if you listen to what the media says and all these so-and-so experts, they'll tell you that we have 20 guys taking up $150, $200 million. These guys are pretty close to that, but it's not as if they're taking up 90% of the cap. And again, like I said before, if you wanted to get rid of a guy like a Tyrone Smith, if you had a replacement, you could do that and you can actually save some money. All right. Another thing I wanted to go into was the actual contracts. So we go to a guy like Andy Dalton. Now, all the media reports were saying that Andy Dalton signed a contract for $7 million. And everybody ran with it as if, oh, you're paying him so much money, you got to be paying him to replace Dak. Well, if you take a look at this, you see his cap hit is only $3 million. Now, I'm about to click on his name, and I'll show you something else I really love about this website. So when you go to his page, you'll see that it actually shows how much of his pay is signing bonus and what his salary is. So if you remember what I just showed you, it says he's making $3 million this year. $2 million of it is signing bonus. So really only $1 million is his salary for this year. So I don't know about you guys, but $1 million doesn't sound like the salary of a guy that's coming in to be your starting quarterback. Now, if you scroll down, and you could do this for any player, you look right here in the contract notes, it tells about the incentives. And this is something people always overlook. So he can make $7 million, but that's if he hits $4 million of incentives. And to do that, he has to play 35% of the regular season games. He also would have to get 50% of the Super Bowl snaps. and he would have to win the Super Bowl. So that's a lot of stuff to ask for him to be able to make $7 million. Now, if heaven forbid something happened to Dak and we had to rely on Andy Dalton and Andy Dalton took us to the Super Bowl and won it, I'd be more than happy to pay that $7 million. But don't take that as law. He's not getting $7 million unless he does all that. So that's one thing I wanted to cover. Now, let me go back again, show you another contract that everybody loves to talk about. And that one is Alden Smith. I'm trying to find it. I guess I'm overlooking it. It's probably closer to the bottom because he hasn't officially been paid anything yet. All right, so while I look for this, guys, make sure you go look at SpotRac, SPOTRAC.com. That's the site I go to. If I have any questions about anybody's contract, how much somebody's making, who can be cut, who's a guy that we can look at to possibly replace, this is where I go to. Oh, I know why I'm not finding it. Because SpotRac not only breaks it down by the active players, they also give you the suspended players. So now if you want to know who's suspended and how much their cap hit is, you go down here. And it also lists out the contracts for all the draft players as well. So as you can see right here, another argument we always have. People always say, well, why are we holding a spot for Randy Gregory? He's not giving us anything right now. But if you look right here, he doesn't have a cap hit. So he's not taking up a roster spot, and we're not losing cap space with him. Why not hold on to him? Okay, so same thing with Alden Smith. So let me go to Alden Smith's contract. All right, so we look at Alden Smith. Everybody's saying, well, they're paying him $2 million and he's going to be the next defensive end. We don't have anything tied into him right now. Now, if you look, he wasn't paid any signing bonus. So as of, what's today's date? As of May 12th, 2020, the Cowboys haven't paid Alden Smith a dime. If you go down here and look at his contract notes, this breaks down the full $2 million. First of all, in order for him to get a dime from us, he has to be reinstated. And that's going to cost us $90,000. If he gets reinstated and stays on the team for 30 days, he gets another $50,000. So now we're not even halfway at the league minimum for a player. And he's just there. Not a lot lost. Now, if he stays 30 days and he makes it to training camp, he gets another $100,000. So this just tells you how great of a contract Alden Smith has. The team is really not out of any money unless he stays on the team and he actually plays. He gets another $100,000 if he plays in 2 preseason games. And if he makes it to our game day roster, he gets a final $100,000. Then you go on top of that, where it says per game active bonus, he basically gets paid $40,000 a game for every game that he's on the 53-man roster. So if they decide to cut him in week 4, he doesn't get this full $650. I don't have a calculator on here with me, but if you were to add up the $650 plus all these, that would get you basically around the this price right here. And then you go down and look, he gets certain sack incentives. So if he gives you 8 sacks, he gets $500,000, 10 sacks, so on and so forth. So this just tells you, when you hear people talk about Alden Smith, make sure you know what he's really getting and what they really say. Last thing I want to go to before I leave this page is free agents. So now I just showed you how much money we got as a team. Now I can show you some of the free agents that are available for us to spend that money on. So you go to the free agent tab right here and go to available players. And then right here, it lists out all of the available players that we could possibly sign. And again, this site is great. You can do it by positions. I know everybody talks about we need that defensive end, so you can break it down by defensive end. Take a look at some of the guys that are available. Of course, Clowney is going to be at the top of that list. So you can go here. You can take a look at what names are actually out there, what names are available. Another good thing about this page is for certain players, it'll give you what the estimated market value is. So if you click on this, give it a second to load. Right now, it has average annual salary 18.8 million. Now, I look at this page all the time. The last time I looked at this page, it was listed at 21. That was probably about a month and a half ago. So his market value is dropping. So this site is fairly active with what's going on in the free agent market. Another thing I like, it tells you the age of these players. So you hear people saying, well, oh, we need to go sign Michael Bennett back. Did you know Michael Bennett was 34 years old? Do you really want a 34-year-old player at defensive end? You can sort it by age. You can sort it by where they came from. I just like to go look at this sometimes, see if there's a name of a guy who I may have heard of, who may have had a couple good stats, somebody I think could come to the team and contribute. You can see it's a pretty old age group right here. Another one I like to go to is defensive tackle, because I think we need another D tackle. But me and Brandon with Cowboys Y'all are doing a live video on Thursday talking about free agent needs. So I don't want to go too much into this. I want you guys to come back on Thursday so you can check that out. All right, so I think that's pretty much all I want to cover on this page. So as you can see, this page gives a lot of info. Everything you want to know about contracts, how much people are making, who's available, all that stuff is found pretty easily. So I appreciate all you guys who are on right now. Again, shout out to the Star Gang. I love you guys. I follow you guys all the time. Thanks, Brandon. I appreciate the comment. If you guys could, please share it to your individual pages so that I can get more people to see this, because I feel like this is information that people need to know. I see the guys that are on here. They're really knowledgeable about the team, but everybody doesn't have that same knowledge. And everybody, to me, really needs to know this type of stuff. All right. Next thing I want to talk about is where to get information from. And one thing I hate about this fan base is huge. I love the fan base, but information gets out there that shouldn't be out there sometimes. And what I mean by that is somebody may read some random post by insert national expert on sports. I don't want to say a name, but they may make a post that has no basis whatsoever. Before you know it, everybody's fan page has that tweet or that Instagram post. And within an hour, that so-and-so fact has now become the truth in Cowboy land. And everybody's not as in tune with the Cowboys as people think they are. It's a lot of people who love to read what the haters say about the Cowboys. They love to read what the fans say about the Cowboys, but there are only so many real people who are in tune with what Dallas is doing. So I just want to share with you guys a few of the people that I enjoy following. So the first one I want to go through is favorite person to follow, Jane Slater. I don't believe anything that comes out about the Dallas Cowboys unless Jane Slater reports it first. That's how much I respect her knowledge, and I respect the information that she gives, and I respect her sources. She has a podcast called Boys and Girl Podcast. I listen to it anytime it's on. If you want to learn what's going on behind the scenes with Dallas, make sure you guys go find that podcast. I put her information on the screen so you can see. This is her on Twitter, Slater NFL. If you need to follow anybody, this is the first person you need to go follow, Jane Slater. Number two, now it's a lot more guys out there, but I don't want to take up too much of everybody's time, and I just wanted to put the people who immediately pop in my head as if this is who I go to. Number two, Brian Brodis. Brian Brodis was a former Cowboy scout, and now he is a radio personality for 105.3 The Fan. Brian Brodis probably has forgotten more about Cowboys information and sports information in general than anybody on here combined. Now, I don't take him as the truth because he isn't a Cowboys insider anymore. But for the most part, whatever he says, I'm going to take it as being legitimate and at least go out there and look it up myself, knowing that it came from a more reliable source than others. And my third guy is Jeff Cavanaugh. I love Jeff Cavanaugh. He's also on 105.3 The Fan. He has his own podcast that he does. He does stuff on the radio. If you want the closest thing to an expert and a fan put together, that's Jeff Cavanaugh. His all of his content is entertaining and it's informative. All right, I want to go through a couple more national people that I follow. So yeah, Brandon, I think I do know somebody who's going to be talking to him soon. You guys stay tuned for that. That's going to be really fun. All right. Now I want to go to some more national people I follow. The next one is Calvin Watkins, Dallas Morning News. If I don't get it from Jane Slater, this is the next person I'm going to go to as well. He seems to know a lot about the Cowboys. He's probably been following the Cowboys longer than most people. He's probably 25 years in the game. So he's one of those few people who can actually get information directly from Jerry and Steven more than other people can, because he's built that reputation with the front office and the Jones family. Now, number 5, if you really want to get some information about the Cowboys, you may as well go straight to the source. So DallasCowboys.com has a lot of podcasts and a lot of good content. I didn't want to go through all the pages and all of the different podcasts, but just go to DallasCowboys.com yourself. These are kind of the top 3 people who, whenever I see them on a podcast, I kind of go and look at what they do. One is Nick Eatman, one is Derek Eagleton, and one is David Hellman. And these guys always get player interviews. They get interviews with the Joneses. They've done interviews with Will McClay. They've even done interviews with scouts. So if you really want to know what the people behind the star are doing and thinking, these are some of the guys you need to go follow to see some of their content. Now, number 6, Jesse Holley. He also works for DallasCowboys.com. But I got to put him on his own special level because he's one of my favorite people, the voice of reason, as they call him. And he's on a podcast called Hanging with the Boys. If you guys get a chance, go check that podcast out. These guys do not hold back their punches, and they work for the Cowboys. If player X has a bad game, Jesse Holley's going to call him out. And he's going to say on air, if player X has a problem with what I said, you can come see me. So I got a ton of respect for Jesse Holly. And speaking of Jesse Holly, I believe that Silver and Blue Nation with Big Game James is gonna have him on their podcast tomorrow. So I know he's really gonna dish it out tomorrow because he's not gonna be under that Cowboys umbrella. He can kind of really talk the way he wants to talk. So shout out to Big Game James. If you guys want to check that out, make sure you do. Now, with that being said, I talked about my national people. Now, there are some smaller people. To me, they're national, but they're more grassroots, mainly social media, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, but they put out some amazing content. So before I go, I just want to point out a couple of these people that if you guys don't follow them, you need to go follow them. All right, the first one, West Coast Cowboy. This is my guy right here. He probably puts out the most professional podcast outside of a major network that I've seen. Like all of his graphics are first class, all of his animations are first class. The content is always structured. He has a producer in the background. Everything you want to see, and you want to see it at like the level we all want to get to, go follow West Coast Cowboy. Number 2, Boss Cowboy Sports, Marcus Smith. This is probably one of the most knowledgeable Cowboy fans I've ever heard talk about this team. Like this guy really does his homework. So I wouldn't be shocked in the next 5 to 10 years. We're talking about Boss Cowboy like I'm talking about James Slater and Calvin Watkins right now, because the information that he puts out there and the attention to detail that he puts out there is next to none. Another thing that I really like about Boss Cowboy is if a fan brings him information, he'll go look it up for himself. He doesn't just say, oh, well, I know everything, so what you said must be wrong. He's going to respect you as a knowledgeable person about the Cowboys, and he's going to make sure he does his due diligence to either correct what he said or to confirm what he already said. Number 3, Brandon with Cowboys, y'all. If you haven't done so already, make sure you follow his page as well. He has a hysterical character named Cowboy Dale that's been getting a lot of recognition nationally. He does his own skits. His page is full of insight. And I mean, I've only been following him for a short period of time, but this guy really knows his stuff. Like he can really just come off the top of the head without looking up anything and talk about any Cowboys topic that you want to talk about. So I got a couple more I want to cover before I get out of here. The next 3 are first I want to talk about, I mentioned Law Nation, Law Thomas. These are their names on Facebook if you want to go out and find them and find their groups. Law Nation provides some first-class content. Like, I'm shocked this guy isn't a reporter. He had to go to school for public relations or broadcasting or something, because everything he puts together is always detailed and professional and on point. Same thing with Big Game James. These 3 guys right here, they all kind of work together. When you look at Law Nation, Big Game, and Skywalker, all the stuff they do is first class, and they do stuff together as well as a group. And tonight they're gonna have Jeff Cavanaugh on. Oh, what's up, Joe? I appreciate the support all the way from Italy. Man, that makes me feel really good to think that somebody outside this country is taking the time to watch what I'm putting together, man. So big ups to you, Joe. I really appreciate it. Okay, so we talk about these 3 guys, and I believe tonight at 9:00 they're gonna actually interview Jeff Cavanaugh. So I got to make sure I get off so I can get ready to hear that interview, because that's basically like half of my favorite Cowboy reporters on one podcast. So if you guys get a chance, make sure you go check it out too. Just talked about Big Game James. Skywalker, I recently just started following him. Very knowledgeable guy. He puts together a great podcast as well. His graphics are always on point. His information is great. I'm just really impressed by what these guys are putting out. Now, before I go, these are the last two ones I have to cover. And these are two fan groups that I've been following. The first one is Stargang. Again, big ups to you guys. I found out about you guys during the NFL draft this year. And when I found out the draft was going to be virtual, I didn't know what I was going to do because I felt like it was going to be dry and uninteresting and just a lot of watching people sit in their houses. But I went on Facebook and found you guys' group, and you guys kept me going the whole entire draft. Like, the content was on point. The conversations were on point. It was funny, it was informative, it was entertaining. So big ups to BJ, Spoonie, and Mary. You guys, after the draft, every time I see you guys pop up, I'm hopping on to find out what you're talking about. So keep doing what you're doing. And last but not least, I want to talk about Block Party ATL. This is one of the Cowboys groups around the country. There's an event called Cowboys Takeover that's done every year where Cowboys fans get together and they meet with players and they socialize. And ATL probably brought 100 people out to this event. And I had a chance to meet up with the president of the group, Tony Thomas, and he was just a longtime Cowboy fan, probably been a fan 40 years. I like what he said. I liked his knowledge. His group was on point. So I decided to join the group, and he does a weekly Facebook Live where him and some of the guys from the group get together and talk about Cowboys facts. And these are kind of like the three main guys who come online with him. Tony Thomas, the president, Derek Nelson, shout out Derek, and my boy Jeff Dunnigan from Memphis. So I get online with them sometimes. We just talk about Cowboys facts, Cowboys information, and it's really just a good time. So that's pretty much all I had tonight. I just feel like if you follow these people, you're going to get more than enough actual Cowboys information. So don't get involved in all these Facebook arguments with people who don't know what they're talking about, or people who spit out facts that they heard and don't have a real source from them. Get your information straight from knowledgeable people. That's the one thing I want you guys to take out of this. So again, this is Marcus, Bluff City Cowboys. Make sure that you follow me as well, Bluff City Cowboys, on Facebook and on YouTube. Help me get some subscribers up. Help me get my likes up. And again, all of you guys are in pages. Make sure you share this, because I feel like this is what fans need to know to be knowledgeable fans, to have real discussions. All right. This is Marcus. Peace.